Hello, you beautiful human, wherever you may be, in your beautiful corner, on this beautiful rock, in your own life at this moment. So, I want to talk today about the two main ways you can view life. But to do that, I need to start from the beginning. So you need to understand that life happens to all of us, meaning that everybody has problems. And the problems you have are the biggest problems, just like the problems I have are the biggest problems to me. Do you understand that, right? So whatever happened to you are the biggest problems that could ever be, just like whatever happened to me are the biggest problems that happened to me. So with that said, know that everybody has problems. You are not alone, you are not the only one. Life tests us all. So the thing where I want to go with this is to give you a basic understanding of the two ways you can view life. So in my opinion and from my experience, I understood that you can mainly view life from two basic points. One basic point is I call it the soldier's perspective. So everything for you is a fight. You need to fight for your position. You need to always compete with the people around you. You see everything as a competition or a fight or a war or whatever, yeah? And the other perspective is I call it the architect and builder perspective. And this goes back to the hero and villain story. So behind every villain you see in every movie and behind every hero you see in every movie is life, meaning something really bad happened to them. There was out of their control, and often maybe it wasn't even their fault. So something really bad happened that wasn't their fault, and that situation gave them choice. Well, you can ask here, well, why does God let bad things happen to good people, right? Because maybe you were born in a bad family, right? You had bad parents. It's not your fault. But the thing I came to understand is that God permits these situations because He wants us all to be in the position to become a hero. So behind every villain was a bad situation, but also behind every hero there is bad situation, yeah, out of their control, not being their fault. And this is where it became very interesting for me, because basically it's a choice. So either one of us, when something bad happens to us, we can become a villain or we can become a hero. We can view life as soldiers, right? Everything is a fight, everything is a competition, everything is who's the biggest, who's the fastest, who's the greatest, and so on. And the other perspective is, all right, I'm an architect, I'm gonna start planning and then I'm gonna start building, right? So you're not in a competition with anybody. You just wanna see how far you can take, let's say, this human you are, right? How far can I take this human that I am? So we're gonna take first the villain side, the soldier side. Well, if you choose that direction, you are going to be mostly fueled by negative emotions and negative energy, because you are always going to want to break someone else. So let's say if you want to build the tallest building in town, you will have the tendency to destroy someone else's building. Do you understand what I'm saying? So your fuel comes from a negative place. And the problem with that is that if you adopt this philosophy, maybe you'll want to have a family, right? And this is the philosophy I adopted when I was 17. I came from I had a difficult relationship with my family, right? So and when I was 16, 17 years old, I decided, I saw like maybe their grip is going down on me. I started working, making a bit of money, finding my independence, so to say. And I went on this villain route where I wanted to become a bad boy, right? Well, the problem with becoming a bad boy, becoming the villain, is the fact that maybe you wanna build a family, and that's where I encountered all of my problems. Because if you choose to be a villain, you are going to interact with other villains, with other soldiers, with other people that play life in the same way, right? And if you choose that side, you are going to interact with those people, but you are also going to be in environments where those people go, right? Like clubbing, like partying, like you know what I mean. And in those environments, you're gonna pick up few habits that are gonna weigh on you. Like maybe you're gonna drink too much, like maybe you're gonna use drugs, like maybe you'll start a relationship with a woman from or with a man from that side of the world. And in that side of the world, people tend to be let's say more superficial. So just like flies, they are attracted to whatever glows. Do you understand what I'm saying? So to get a partner from that side, maybe you're not gonna look at personality, but you're gonna look more at social status and money. And that's not a problem if you do that, but the problem is once you choose that kind of person and that kind of life and then that kind of environment, the problem is you're gonna have to live in it. And if you choose a wife, let's say, because I'm a man, so that's why I'm talking from this perspective. If you choose a wife, you choose to be a villain, right? And you go down that route and you become a good one, you start making money. Well, if you are in that environment where there's alcohol, where there's drugs, where there's stupid sex, where there doesn't matter how many partners you have and so on, you're gonna get a wife from that environment. And maybe that's fine if you wanna have fun, right? When you're 25 or 30 or 35. But what are you going to do when you're 60, let's say, or 50 or 45? Because it's not a problem to maybe have a drinking situation. Let's not say a drinking problem. Maybe having a drinking situation or a drug situation when you're 25 or 30, still single maybe, or in a serious relationship with someone who has the same problems as you. Maybe it's not such a big situation, so not such a big problem, but that's gonna be amplified if you wanna have children. Because if you want to have children and you get to 40 and now your children are 10 years old, let's say, and you still have a drug problem, and now it's going to be a drug problem, it's not going to be a situation, it's going to be a problem, and a drinking problem, because drinking is not going to be a situation, it's going to be a problem right now, yeah, when you're 40 with a 10-year-old child, right? Then what are you going to do then? And that's what I faced. Yeah, I chose that route. Of course, going down that route meant clubbing a lot, meant motorcycle clubs, meant a few too many drinks, some fights, right? Because it comes with the territory, right? And got a wife from that environment, and everything was seemingly fine until we decided to get married and have a child, bring a child into the world. I remember I was 29 when my daughter was born, and I remembered it. I remember it like it happened today. It was like I heard my daughter's voice crying. I was on a hallway in the hospital when she got born, and I heard her crying, and immediately I said, "Oh, that's my daughter." And the next thought was, "What the fuck am I teaching this child?" Immediately, out of nowhere, came the question, this child depends on me. She is going to see me. And I don't know if you know that, but if you know this, but people, children, everybody learns more from what they see than from what you tell them. And I was terrified. I was freaking terrified. I was like, dude, if this child sees me, what is this child going to become? And a young a daughter at that, right? And I remember it was devastating. Fast forward 4 years, problems just amplified, because like I've said, now I'm a married man, I have a child, I cannot party that often, relationships started to break down, meaning relationships with my friends, with my people around me, right? Because that environment was not healthy for me anymore. And the thing is, I understood this situation, but I failed to reverse it. I started bringing the problem up to my wife, talking about the situation. Remember, she was a woman that came out from that same environment, right? So she didn't have that, let's say, awakening, so to say, right? When my daughter was born. So I tried, and I'm not judging her. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm 100% sure that I have failed to explain it better, or to put it better, or to be more patient. So I'm not putting anything on her, but yeah, I wanted to come back from that, right? I wanted to change my life. I wanted to go in the other direction, the builder's direction, the architect's direction. Yeah, start building, get better friends, educate myself, started reading a bit, and so on. But the thing is, it was really hard for me to do it, and she didn't want to do it, so I failed. Do you understand what I'm saying? I just failed. And the pressure I was feeling it because of my daughter. So I don't know if you have children, but in the first 3 years they grow up so fast, they change so much. Like after 6 months, they start looking at you in the room, following you with their eyes. Then at 1 year old, she started walking, and so on. So everything happens really, really fast. And put in the equation the fact that toddlers don't sleep all that well, so a lot of white nights, right? And when you mix all that together, you are, in lack of better words, fucked, right? So I wanted to reverse that, and I have failed. So yeah, divorce came. My daughter was 4 years and 3 months old. So, yeah, 4 years and 3 months old. Divorce came inevitably. Ugly divorce, disaster, almost took me out. Almost took me out financially, socially. And I repeat, it was my own doing. So I'm not putting anything on anyone. It's me, and it's all on me. So yeah. But after that situation, I started thinking about life, and I started going back, like what were my decisions and my steps. And this point is really, really, really important, because you must understand that if you are going to sit alone with yourself for more than 5 minutes, and you're gonna ask yourself, where did I chose wrong, you are going to get that answer. So blaming someone else or complaining about your situation is not helping you, because if you went 5 years down a road and now you don't like where you are, you don't need to still go on that road. So you can stop at any time. Like someone said, the first thing you need to do when you find yourself in a hole is to stop digging, right? So if you went 5 years on a road, drinking too much, partying too much, blah 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 blah, you don't need to still do it, right? And yes, of course, it's not gonna be easy to come back from that, but at least stop digging, right? So if you're gonna ask yourself, meaning no point in complaining, and no point in blaming others or circumstances, or like I've said in the beginning, life happens to all of us. So if you are going to look back in your life, you are going to find the exact moment you chose directly to go on the road you are today, or maybe you refused to choose another way. So not choosing, you have to understand that not choosing, not deciding is still a decision, right? If you have two roads and you go, fuck it, I'm not deciding, that's a decision. You decided not to decide. So any way you put it, the place you are today is more or less your own doing. And much more than that, you can fucking stop at any time. Stopping at any time, it's not like flicking a switch, right? Because yeah, you wandered in the woods in the darkness for 5 years, so now you're gonna need a little bit of time to come back. But the good news is that you're not gonna need 5 years, right? Maybe for you it's gonna be 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and whatever. In this situation, I would suggest to start reading and to start writing, right? Like journaling or whatever, because this is gonna teach you how to think, and you are going to need to know how to think to be able to look back on your life and identify what you could do better going forward, right? So this is the villain perspective, the soldier perspective of life, right? Something bad happened to you, you decided, fuck you all, I'm gonna fuck this up, I'm bigger than life, I'm God and I'm gonna run with it, do whatever the fuck I want, no consequences and so on, which is wrong. Every action has consequences, yeah? And you're gonna have to live with the action, with the consequence, and you also are gonna have to live with the person you became. Like, people are creatures of habits, right? So if you go down a road for 5 years, you're gonna pick up some habits, and now you're gonna have to live with the decision, the consequences, but also with the person you became, right? All right. Now, the other part is the hero side of things. Like the same thing happened to the villain that happened also to the hero, but the hero said, fuck this is not gonna define me. I'm gonna go so far up the scale that no one is even going to see me anymore, right? And that comes from a positive place. Like you do that in a sense that you don't allow, it's like you start building an ark like Noah from the Bible, to save as many people as you can. So it doesn't matter in which domain you activate, like a doctor, or exactly like an architect, or maybe painter or musician or whatever, but the fuel is positive, the emotions are positive. You want to build something to save as many people as you can. That's the builder and the architect side of things. And another really interesting thing I found out here was that the architect and the builder is also a warrior, right? What does that mean? Well, there's a really famous saying, that goes something like this. I don't really remember it 100%, but I think you're gonna get the gist of it. It's like from 100 soldiers going into the battle, 10 should not be there. 80 are just targets, 9 are soldiers, fighters, and we are grateful to have them, but one is a fucking warrior, and he's gonna make sure that everybody else comes back home. So the warrior is the architect and the builder, because the warrior is the leader, right? You understand what I'm saying? He can take everybody back home because he wants to do that. He wants to save as many as possible. So the soldier, the warrior, is gonna be comfortable in a war. The warrior is not comfortable, and he wants to end it as soon as possible, and also to save as many people as possible, right? So what should you take out of this incoherent rant of mine? Two things. You are not alone. Life happens to everyone. So whatever happened to you is the greatest problem for you, just like what happened to me is the greatest problem for me. That's one, right? And two, know that you have a choice. If you chose the villain side, the soldier side, the fighter side, or whatever, know that you're gonna have to live like that also when you're 70, right? And that's not a good place to be when you're 70, being uncomfortable in your own house because everybody is competing with you, like your children, your wife, everybody, because that's what you taught them to do. That's what they saw you doing, right? No, you want to have peace, right? So the other side is choose to be an architect, and if you are an architect, you'll have the tendency to teach everyone around you to work together, to be a family, to not compete with each other, to give the best they have so they can build something for this world. And this is, you can divide this so basically, like saying whenever something bad happens to you, you have the opportunity to be part of the solution in your generation, and then you're gonna choose to be the architect, the builder, the warrior, right? Or you can choose to be part of the problem in your generation, always complaining, always competing, always fighting. And when life is not going to provide you with enemies, you're gonna have to look around you to find enemies, meaning your children, your wife, yeah, because you're gonna need that energy, that fighter energy, right? And when you don't find enemies around you, you are going to invent enemies. Like you hear this big guy with a snake on his hand talking about the Matrix and talking about whatever. When the Matrix is done, then you're gonna have to invent bigger enemies. And trust me, that's not a good route to go on. Trust me, as someone that has been down that route. And yeah, it's as much fun as it may sound to smack someone in the face, when you actually do it and then you go home alone with yourself, is not that fun. Trust me. All right. I hope this was helpful. And until next time, I hope you are good, and I hope you get better. Bye.